Hey, I'm Nick, and today I want to talk about how to be more productive by getting rid of annoying thoughts that are lingering around in your head by writing them down on something like a piece of paper or even your phone. You see, I've mentioned very recently that your brain is adaptive to your environment. If the things around you are distracting, then so too is going to be your mind. And that also goes the same with the thoughts that you were thinking about. Even in passing, any thoughts that are going through your mind are going to grab your brain's attention and take it away from the thing that you're actually working on. It's similar to how I mentioned before with making sure that you're staying focused while using a device like your laptop by getting rid of all the tabs except for the one that you're actually working on, making sure that your brain isn't thinking about any other thoughts beside what you actually are focusing on is important and actually upgrades your focus by a lot. Now, failure to get rid of these thoughts will, just like with the laptop example, distract you and stray your focus away from anything. Even if you think that the thought is small, it's still going to make a sizable impact on whatever you're actually doing. And so, as soon as we can get rid of these random, insignificant thoughts that are in our head, the sooner we can increase our focus. Now, there's two ways to go about this, but all of them are similar as what we need to do is to write them down and get them out of our actual headspace. You see, you may think that even if you write something down, you're still thinking about what you just wrote down, but it's not quite the same way. You see, when you have a thought and you like that thought, and even if you say to yourself, I'm not going to let it take my focus away, just your effort of retaining it in your brain's memory is taking focus away. Instead, writing it down and transferring that focus from keeping it in your memory and instead putting it on the paper actually gives your brain that extra room it needs to further focus on the actual task at hand. Now, if you do have a thought and you do enjoy it or think it's important enough to commit some kind of memory to it, you probably don't just want to write it down and throw it away. And so having a central spot for all of these random thoughts is very useful and saves you from going one place to another when you're trying to figure out what you were thinking about before. And so personally, I either use a notepad or just the notes app on my phone to gather all my ideas down and get them out of my head. And we're not just doing this to actually come back later and remember what we were thinking about. It's to actually figure out if it was useful when we do have free time to be able to do that. As most likely, if we have a thought and we write it down, we probably do want to take action on it. And so having it all in one central place lets us look back on it in our free time and critique on whether or not we should implement or look into the idea that we had floating about. And the last thing that I want to mention is that if you do end up choosing your phone over a notepad to write down your ideas in, make sure that before you go on your phone, like I mentioned before, you have a actual plan on what you're going to do as soon as you open your phone up. You're not going to say, I'm just going to quickly spend these few minutes on my phone. You're going to say to yourself, I'm just going to write this down, and then you get rid of your phone as soon as possible, as that is the goal whenever we have to use our phone, to be able to cut down on the time that we're using on it and let our brains have that space to be creative and actually get stuff done. As the last thing we want happening is for us to do what we planned on doing, but then straying off that and instead looking at our notifications as well, or looking at something else that popped into our mind that we really want to know right now and don't just want to make a note for it later. And to save yourself from that, it's to make sure that on the regular you are giving yourself the free time that you need to go through your notes so that you're not leaving yourself open to having to look into the idea straight away. So yeah, I hope that's helped you with the thoughts that you may be having recently that are pulling away your focus, and hopefully that's highlighted the importance of actually writing it down and get it out of your head and giving your brain the room it needs to stay focused. And in your free time is when you can go back and look through those small nagging thoughts that you were having throughout the day. And if you use your phone for this, of course, be wary to not spend too much time on it, as having your brain free from technology works a lot better for your creativity and actual work ethic. That's it for today. And if you're still interested in anything about productivity tips and tricks, I've now started one-on-one coaching, which you can book a call for using the first link in the description. Until then, I'll see you later.